Tony Tone specifically was very, very interesting from one of my personal favorite ASAP Rocky projects, Testing.
Yeah.
I think that in the midst of him dropping probably the most highly anticipated album of his career right now with Don't Be Dumb, it was a great opportunity to kind of go back to an album that I view as a classic, but I think is widely regarded as his most divisive project, Testing. So we all went back and listened to that this week. And I think that it was a really, really good eye-opener, especially for me and you, Spencer, because I know that we've had very frequent debates about this project just because I know how big of an A$AP Rocky fan you are. And I think just knowing your music taste and what you like, to me, as such a big fan of Testing, I've always felt like this would be something that you would love. So I was so surprised when you like kind of just were like, this wasn't your favorite off the first like couple of years it was out, obviously. So I'm interested to see how you kind of enjoyed the album this like time we went back to it.
Yeah. I'm going to start with where I was.
Okay.
And kind of why I didn't necessarily love it. To me, I really like experimental music.
Yeah.
I don't like experimental music that is experimental just to be experimental.
Yes.
I think that's where a lot of people misjudge what I like. I don't like something because it's weird and there are weird sounds.
Yeah.
I don't just like the creative pursuit. I like the result.
Yes.
And I like shit that I think sounds good. And for the first couple of years of Testing being out, it felt like, you know, he labeled it as Testing. Everyone was like, oh, it's his experimental project. And I'm like, well, this shit isn't actually much more experimental than the last project, which was super off the wall, super all that, you know? So I didn't really like that image going in. So I think I had a little personal bias against this album coming in. And then I think some of the songs didn't land off rip. And so I didn't put much effort into it. On this re-listen, me at my big age of 25, you know, fully developed frontal lobe, I can go back and say this is a great project. And to me, this is his second best project behind the second studio album. I always get the names mixed up. At Long Last. That's still his best project. But Testing being revisited played super well, especially on the back end. Some of those songs that I didn't necessarily go back to a lot really aged really well, especially that slower section from Kids Turned Out Fine all the way to Purity.
Did you like Brother Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great song. That's a great. It's all good, bro. It's all good. I really, really enjoyed going back.
Yeah, I'll show how I feel. I'll last, but I want to hear what you think. I don't know what you think about that one.
Yeah, bro. This isn't it.
Did you go back and listen for real, for real?
This project isn't it.
You went back and listened for real, for real?
I went back and listened to the whole project.
Okay.
This project isn't it. And I'm not even saying that because it doesn't have a few songs, right? Like it definitely, like it's weird, right? Because listening again, you do realize how many songs it has that are standalone, like pretty great songs. Yeah. Obviously, you have Praise the Lord. Mm-hmm. You have Purity. Mm-hmm. Brother Man is a good song.
Yeah.
OG Beeper in a Different Context is a very interesting song. But as a project and as an album, it feels a little try hard. It feels like he's trying to dig into his Yeezus era or some shit. And I think the title is a little too on the nose and maybe ruined the project initially for me. And now I can't really go back and like see it as a body of work. You know, like I think there are really, like I said before, I think there's some standalone songs, but I don't think this is Rocky's strongest project, bro. I think Purity is probably the best song in the project for me. And it was weird too, because I listened to it a few times, and like this morning I was journaling and listened to it again, and it was like good like background music, I guess, but there's something about this project that doesn't feel complete to me. It feels very much like he was trying to do something and failed.
Yeah. I think that the title is what threw a lot of people off. I think that was the single biggest mistake from this entire era. And I just want to like say that I think that A$AP Rocky is one of like my favorite artists ever, one of the most instrumental artists of our time, but I don't think he's released his best project. I think he has a lot of really, really great elements to him as an artist. I think he's done a lot of crazy shit, but I don't think he's ever put it all together perfectly. You know, I do think he has this really high ceiling that he's just building towards, but it hasn't all come together just yet. And on this, for me, it was something that felt like a rejuvenation. Because I got used to the psych rap. I got used to the kind of cloudy, druggy stuff, you know. I think that this was right after the Cozy tapes too, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that I just kind of almost grown up and like worn myself out of the Rocky sound a little bit by the time Testing came along. And then when it dropped, I was just like, oh, this is something that plays better outside and in a festival context. And then I saw it live.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the most animated, energetic I've ever felt Rocky. And I started to see him with Tyler more. And that friendship blossoming a little more. So then I'm listening to the production and the musicality. And I'm like, I see why even from a musical standpoint, these dudes will fuck with each other. The Wang Sap rumor started to happen and things like that. So I think that this project for me really expanded my vision to what Rocky could be. Because then I hear like a song like Distorted Records, the first one. That's a fire way to open up your album to me. Like, I thought that was a really, really dope intro. Like,
that's always been one of my favorite songs.
You know,
on
like,
the album.
I don't know. I love the fact that he was taking chances. It really felt like he was trying to be like a different type of artist, a different level of artist on this.
Yeah.
And that was always the draw for me. And then just like some of these songs are just so special. Like you mentioned OG Beeper. I think like we all Purity, if you're a Lauryn Hill fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that sample's gonna fucking kill you. Like it's amazing. But the really high energy songs are my favorites for sure. Praise the Lord, of course, is a great like slap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking Guns and Butter though with Juicy J.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
And we haven't even
Easily.
mentioned Fuck Sleep with
Yeah,
FKA Twigs.
that was the first one that grabbed me off the first listen.
Me too. Tony Tone.
Yeah.
I love that song. And ASAP Forever. I always really liked ASAP Forever. As the single, that was one of my favorite Rocky songs. I was listening to it all the time. And then they kind of fucked it up on the album. And I think that's another reason that I struggled to like the album off rip is because they killed the intro. They have this little T.I. speaking monologue, which is cool. And then they go right into the drop. When the single version, there's this really big, swirly, psychedelic buildup that puts you in the zone. And then when it drops, it's like big and triumphant, you know? And I think they really messed it up on the record, even though I do like the addition of Kid Cudi. But I really like that song too. And I hadn't listened to it in years. So yeah, you sound like you don't like that song.
I don't like that song that much.
That's fair.
It's not my favorite.
But we like different Rockies because you also don't really like DMB like that. And I love DMB.
Yeah, that DMV is fine. Yeah, I guess we do. What are your favorites
DMV
off
is
Well, I mean, no,
gas.
because I like the ones that you like on this.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I like most of them on here.
You know, that shit is, I don't know. What's your favorites?
My favorites. I mean, I think when I went back, the most special songs are the slower songs at the end. My favorites are probably Purity, Changes, and Kids Turned Out Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Purity, Guns and Butter, and Changes, Distorted Records. Distorted Records.
Distorted
maybe.
Records is fire.
Maybe Distorted Records. I don't know, just because I'll always have like core memories of like seeing that. Like there was a run of shows when I saw him live, and that's what he was starting with every time.
Yeah.
And it always just let people know what type of timing he was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go Distorted Records, Guns and Butter with Juicy J, and Purity. That's my top three.
And this album did kind of take me back, like you said, to 2018 Flogna, when Saturday Night went A$AP Rocky Testing, SZA. Oh no, A$AP Rocky Testing, Tyler's first Igor set into SZA doing Control, and that was just like,
Yeah, it was otherworldly. What are your favorites from this? I'll say you said Purity, and what else?
I think I said Purity. I would say Purity is my favorite. I don't want to go super basic, but Praise the Lord. I feel like it's just like a really good song.
yeah,
You know, and I know that was the one that hit, but it's just a really good record. And then I wouldn't say OG Beeper is like a favorite song. I think it's a good song. It reminded me of the era of Blockway JB. I think that was pretty funny.
He can't think of a
Let's
third
see.
song he likes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't love the project like that. Like,
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so Spencer, what was one that grabbed you when you went back?
Purity.
Really? I thought you would have liked that one.
It's not something that I had listened to a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how I totally missed it, for the first long time. But yeah, going back, I'm like, I'm an idiot. This is an incredible Frank Ocean verse. You have like rapping Frank Ocean. The sample is great. Yeah, it's an amazing song.
You know what I'm gonna say? That's weird.
What?
Call drops.
With Kodak?
Yeah.
That is
just a little
super weird.
Just like the little interlude thing, you know?
With him talking on the phone?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. What do you like about that?
Because I listened to the album already. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And just I just like it now just in the context of it. You know what I mean? I think it's cool.
All
Because
right.
at this point, I've listened to the album a million times.
Yeah.
So I have my favorites that I go back to, but now I'm going back and just listening to the project and appreciating the artistry of it all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, putting Kodak on the album in that way is really cool to me. I don't know. I thought
right.
it was tasteful.
I think another problem I had on night one. A lot of this goes back to my first listen and how it wasn't as fulfilling of an experience as I wanted it to be. I see Kodak Black featured. I'm super hyped. It's 2018. I think we're going to get a banger. And then I get that and I'm just let down.
But then thinking the context, because Kodak had been in jail for a minute at the time.
Yeah.
That was a longer stint in jail with him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like at that moment, that's cool.
In hindsight, it works. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I do get it. And this album aged well.
Yeah, I'm happy we don't have to fight about it anymore, honestly.
We don't have to fight.
We can come together and enjoy it. Yeah, is there anything else you guys had on it?
no, I don't like this project.
Jose made up his mind before he went back in and listened to this bitch. There was no way we were going to get this nigga to say anything good about this.
Hey, he listened, and that's what matters.
And I appreciate it.